इंट्रोडक्शन किया है लोगों के साथ. So we are very excited and thankful to you for agreeing to join us at the conference today. I'll hand it over to you for your talk on.
हेलो सुमिता जी, मैंने आपको होस्ट बना दिया है. यू कैन शेयर योर पीपीटी.
I don't have a PPT. I don't have a PPT. I will just talk and I would love to have questions. Is that okay? Yeah. So good morning. Namaste, everyone. I'm Sumita Ghose, and I have worked most of my life, adult life, with rural communities, mostly based out of Rajasthan, but also in other parts of the country. And about 17 years ago, I started the organization called RangSutra, which is a community-owned organization of artisans and like-minded people who are committed to ensuring rural livelihoods through crafts in India. And so prior to that, I worked in a very, what shall I say, focused in not-for-profit way, where most of the emphasis was on training, on capacity building, and then enabling people to find their own path going ahead. But what we realized was that, training up to a point, especially for artisans, worked. But where markets are concerned, because most of the products they make are not consumed in their local communities, because handloom fabric, for example, works out to be more expensive than the rayon or polyester, nylon kind of alternatives you have. So mostly people have shifted to those. They're easy to wear, they're easy to wash, they're probably less expensive also. So the market for their goods is mostly in urban India and global also. So that's why we decided that we needed to form a company which would be focused on ensuring market linkages through us, through RangSutra. So we started a company, but having no background of it myself, and not having any experience or background in business. When we started the company, it was difficult to raise funds, because banks we approached would say you need a 3-year balance sheet. What is the equity you have put in? So we didn't have answers to that. But thankfully, at that point, I was advised by several of the people that I was talking to ask the artisans that I had worked with in the past to invest in the company. So this is the year 2006. 1,000 artisans put in 1,000 rupees each. And with that 10 lakhs of equity, our company was formed. Once the artisans did that, I was very concerned, and I felt very responsible for, the fact that they have invested so much of their faith and their trust in this venture. So I took loans from friends and family, put in another 10 lakhs to match the first 10 lakhs. And we got a good amount of equity. And we needed these funds because, the whole craft process is very long. From the time you make a design, sample it, to the time you procure the raw material, make the product, sell it, it can take anything from 6 months to 1 year. So we needed that working capital. So that's how we started the company. And at that point of time, this is, the whole idea of impact investment was coming in. So we had a couple of impact investors who invested in our company, including Fab India. And we started works, and we were fortunate in the sense that Fab India gave us market access for the initial many years, and that's how we stabilized ourselves. We learned the ropes of doing business in a standardized way, We learned how to make, profit and loss statements. And it was it was a huge learning for all of us in the initial years. And so that's how it worked. And then after that, from Rajasthan, we moved to Uttar Pradesh because there another project came up which they wanted us to do similar thing that we had done in Rajasthan in Eastern UP. And in Eastern UP, while we were working in Mirzapur and Gyanpur, we came across IKEA, and that's how our next partnership in the market started with IKEA. We look at our, whether they are our producers or whether they are our buyers, we look at them as partners, because we believe that, it is interconnected and it is not just a transactional relationship, but one of ownership, one of commitment, one of partnership, one of learning from each other, helping each other, because each one is dependent on the other, whether it is the artisan, whether it is us in the middle, whether it's our buyer. Each one has a role to play so that we can deliver the correct the goods to the to the um, uh, to the ultimate customer. So so if I can just sum up, in a sense, um, what we have learned, the main learnings from our work. Of course, after Uttar Pradesh, we also have worked in Jammu Kashmir, where we are setting up another cluster. We have worked in a small part of rural Pune, Maharashtra, and for a short while in Manipur also we have worked. And our learnings have been that, wherever artisans are, they are so dispersed that it's important to bring them together in one, under one umbrella in their village. And to ensure that, they come to one place so that we are able to ensure quality, we are able to ensure standardization, women are able to learn from each other. In case they get stuck on a particular design, they are able to learn from each other in a center. So village production centers, common production centers or facilities, whatever you call them, these are very important, and a different way of working rather than home-based work, which is what most traditional artisans still do, is work from the home. Working from the home does have advantages, there's no doubt about that, but you can't really get that kind of professional quality and timely delivery that you can get if people are together in one place. So one is that getting people together. The second most important thing is ownership. And by ownership, I don't mean just the shareholding that artisans have done or our team members also have made, become owners in the company, but ownership also leads to taking on leadership, being accountable for the work, because everyone knows that if they don't do the work as per the requirements, we won't get another order again, the customer won't come back to us again. So this whole transformation of, yes, we are all workers, but we are workers and leaders and managers of our own work, as well as of maybe some people who report to us or who work with us in our centers. So that's, I would say, the main two learnings that have come from our work. And thirdly, with respect to, as I said, with our suppliers or producers or artisans, they are shareholders. So it is not like a supplier and buyer relationship. We work together. With our buyers also, we work together to co-create new products for the market. We work together to ensure that we understand what they need and they understand what we need. So in this spirit of partnership, we have managed to grow quite phenomenally over the years. And the good thing is that globally, at least, especially in Europe and in the United States and also in India to a certain extent, there is more of a awareness and about who made my product, who made this shirt I'm wearing, how was it made, was the person paid properly, did she have a good place to work out of. Customers are gradually beginning to realize that, it is important, that to be conscious about such things, because ultimately it does have an impact on our lives in some way or the other. I think I'll stop here, and I would like to have questions or interactions.
Sumita ji. I'll pass the mic around to those who have questions.
Hi, ma'am. I am Kaushlandra. Heard a lot about you. Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, if you can speak a little louder, if the mic volume can be increased a bit, I can hear you, but I have to strain my ears.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I am Kaushlandra. Heard a lot about you and in the past as well as your organization. My question is regarding like when you are dealing with corporates like IKEA and other corporates, and what my experience working with them is like they always insist on cost, or how you can bring down the cost. So, what's your experience around that? Would they not force or try to work with you together? You can bring it. They always want, even in nature, they want, although we all talk about inflation and all, but when it comes to procurement for the corporates, they always think, okay, every year prices must reduce. So, what's your take on that?
Yes, you're right. We also face this issue. And I think what we have done and what we have tried to do is that we explain very clearly that why this product costs this much, why this item will cost this much. Because unless we value our own, we understand the value of what we are making, our buyer is not going to understand. Um, and in most cases, they have understood, and have agreed to the costing we provide them. Of course, over the years, we've also learned that we also need to get, quote unquote, what is called a little more efficient as we grow. Because what happens is that, when you grow, the advantages of economies of scale, can be passed down to the artisans and can be passed on to the buyer as well, as long as we improve our efficiency, especially at the middle level, that is at the organization level. Of course, there have been cases where we've had to, not accept orders, where orders we couldn't finally close an order because of the costing. There have been cases where we have closed an order just because to ensure work for our artisans, and kept very little or no margin for ourselves in terms of covering our, just about covering our costs, or not even covering our costs, but the goal being to ensure work for artisans. We have done that occasionally, but that's not viable in the long run. But I think that, through our work, we have realized that it is possible. It is possible to do business where everyone gets a fair deal. So whether one has to explain to the market end, to the buyer, that look, um, most buyers will mark up several times, and the reason they give for that is because the cost of taxes as it comes into their country, or the real estate, or salaries that they, or their marketing costs, etc. So one has to also push for the costs that go into making the product. And I think if we stand our ground, we can do it. Unfortunately, what happens sometimes is that within ourselves also we undercut each other. There is someone else who will give the same thing at a cheaper price. So that's something we have to be very, we should be, as I said, we need to understand the value of our product and be able to explain the reason to the buyer. I hope that answers the question.
Namaste, ma'am. This is Yatesh from Mithila, Alwar, Rajasthan. So my question is that little bit related to what question I was asking. Costing is one thing that handicraft or artisans costs are little higher. But how do you direct with quality of that product and scale? Because when we start working with the artisans and then it is difficult sometimes to manage the quality and scale. Secondly, are you still working in Rajasthan or what kind of products, and then if you want to collaborate, then how it can happen? Thank you.
So let me address your first question. I didn't understand the second one, but coming to your first question, we realize this, that it's going to be very difficult to ensure quality, especially when our artisans are so spread out. So what we did was we identified artisans in the village, and we work mostly with women artisans. So we identified women artisans in their villages who are like 8 standard or 10 standard pass, or more than that, but mostly say about 8 to 10 standard pass, and who show some leadership. And we have trained them to be what we call craft manager. So a craft manager is like a leader in her group, but she also has some managerial skills that we have imparted to her related to reporting, documentation, quality, explaining the quality to her to her group, ensuring that someone who is a little unable to achieve that quality is given the training, given the practice, and that's how we have managed to ensure quality. So we have about 50 or 50 to 60 such craft managers spread out across the country, mostly in Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh, and some in Jammu and Kashmir. And they are actually the managers and executives on the ground who are doing this managing of quality and quality standards. Can you repeat your second question? If this one.
Thank you. Second question was with kind of information. That we are also working in Rajasthan, in Alwar, in Dosa part of Rajasthan. So if you want to reach out to you or have some kind of collaboration, then how it can happen?
Of course,
what kind of
certainly.
products are there?
Certainly, it would depend on, we are happy to collaborate. It would, we would need to see what kind of products are being made, what kind of skills your artisans have. And then we can see about creating product together, which may be one of our, we also have a retail chain, not chain, a retail outlet in Delhi and one in Bikaner, and online we sell. So any new group that works with us, we first work with them for our own retail, together to sell in the market through our RangSutra retail. And if the group is good and they are large and need more work, then we also link them up to our bigger B2B buyers through us, because the buyers need the kind of what shall I say, a kind of assurance from us that, this group will do it properly, will be able to do the work properly and deliver it on time. So there's certainly a chance for collaboration. You can have my email address. I'll put it on the chat, or Chaitanya ji has it. So you can get it from Bhakti or Chaitanya. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's one more question.
Rajesh Shetty from Civil Society. I'm getting some questions from the program manager of this artisan wing of us. We are also in this domain. It's not clear
I
to you.
can't hear. Maybe you can put it on the chat.
Now, are you listening?
Yes, I can hear now.
Okay, ma'am. Once again, I'm Rajesh Shetty, Program Manager, Civil Society, Program Manager of Child Rights. I'm getting few questions from the Program Manager of this artisan section of us. Basic two questions from my side. When you collaborate or supply to a corporate, what are their rights according to you? And when you get a bulk supply and you don't have that much manufactured item, how do you deal with that?
Sorry, what I heard was that how do we work with corporates and how do we manage large quantities?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And what are their priorities? What they look to have a deal?
Yeah. So they look actually for handcrafted products, whether it's the beautiful hand embroideries we make or the block prints or the handloom, which is, thankfully still existing in our country. They look for good quality, but they also look for more contemporary kind of usage, in the sense that the customer who is buying the product, and we don't make very high-end products, we make mid-range products. The customer who is buying the product is using it for work, is using it for every day, for going out. So it needs to be of a certain quality and it needs to be of a certain price. So that is what the customer needs. And so we understand the customer needs. And one market we don't cater to is the very high low cost, high volume, low cost in garments, because that is what is called fast fashion, and it is really kind of making these garments at a very low cost, and which is not sustainable also. It's they land up in landfills. So we are careful about our customers, our buyers, and we try to find a right fit there, because handcraft takes time, it is valuable, so we cannot cater to the really what we call the that kind of a fast fashion market. But however, we do make large quantities for in the home range. We do that. And in terms of increasing quantities, so we have, like, what's happened, because we focus in rural areas, there are lots of people, especially women and men also, who need work. And we have actually, like in some areas, like in Pune, Ambavane, or in Mirzapur and Gyanpur, we have trained the women to do hand embroidery, stitching. This is not a traditional skill. So there's a lot of demand for work. What shall I say? There's a lot of demand or supply at that end. So when we give training, they are able, and training on the job, very practical, depending on the local situation. Uh, we give the training. It's possible. It has been possible for us to increase our production capacity. And from the 1,000 artisans today, we work very regularly with 2,500 artisans. And there are 2,500 artisans who've received training and are looking for regular work. So we don't have a problem with with catering to large quantities in that sense.
Okay, ma'am. We have got a brand trade that is also attached with Parallel. Uh, uh, the question was already answered by you, by the previous question was covered in that. We are happy to collaborate with you people also. And one thing, sometimes we feel that we are also reinventing the extinct stitches in chicken curry here in Lucknow, but that is not so cost effective. Uh, One of the strategies for making the cost effective is to mix the machine stitches also with the hand stitches. Do you go with that?
No, we stay away from that because yes, I understand it's not cost effective, but we do work in with chicken curry in a place called Hardoi. And we believe that, see what happens when you introduce a machine in hand embroidery and you do machine embroidery, then you're leaving out lots of women who don't have access to that machine. So normally, what happens is that the ones who do the embroidery are women. The minute you have the machines, then they have to be taught, or it's men who take over their jobs when the machines come in. So we keep ours very clearly hand embroidery is hand embroidery, and there's a demand and there's a value for that also. So I don't think one should. I would not advise trying to make it efficient through using machines.
Okay, thanks a lot, ma'am.
You have a question?
Can you hear me? Okay, I have a question about how do you make the artisans start owning the program? What are your real successes and the challenges?
Yeah. So as I said, when we started, I had already worked with those 1,000 artisans through the Urmul Trust in Rajasthan for about 10 years. So they had a lot of what shall I say, trust in me and in the organization. And therefore, not only did they invest in money, but they actually understood, the need to own the whole process. I'll give you a little story actually, which is quite moving. Um, like to show that it's not only about the money that women want, it's also about a place in society. Like for instance, we had this we give share certificates to the women who have and men who have bought shares. So I was in a village many years ago, and this lady's house, the share certificate, she had framed it and kept it up, next to pictures of her family. So I thought she had, I thought she had misunderstood. So I asked her, "Do you know what this is?" She says, "Yes, I know. This is my share certificate. When I bought it, the share price was 100 rupees. Today, I know the share price at that time was 600 rupees. And I know it's a share certificate." So I said, "Why have you framed it up?" She says, "I framed it up because, this house that we live in is in my husband's name. The land that we cultivate is in my father-in-law's name. This is the only thing which has my name on it. So I will never share it. I will never sell it. And this gives me a kind of a passport to work and to an identity that I am also, a worker. I contribute to my family, to my society." So that spirit of ownership, the symbol of it is okay, buying that share. But I think there are lots and lots of, we all know that work is worship. We have this, the whole thing of through our work, we find self-expression. Whatever that work may be, it may be cooking, it may be cleaning, it may be weaving, it may be writing, it could be anything. But I think that there's a lot of that need around. And when we spend enough time in the initial months with the artisans, this kind of thing they understand. Another a story is also very touching, is we had got a group of about 10 artisans to Delhi, and they had come from rural Rajasthan, and they went into a Fab India store actually. And when they came back, we were doing a briefing. And I thought they're going to say, "Oh, we got paid whatever, 200 rupees, and this is being sold for 1,200 or whatever." But the women, a woman, she came back with such a, insightful thing. She said that, she found similar pieces like the one she had done hand embroidery on. She says, "Now that I know that the product I'm making goes to such a lovely place, and that the customer spends so much money buying it, I will try to ensure that I do better work. and give better quality. So there is that bit of it, that connect if one makes, I think that ownership can come about.
That was very nice.
Any last question before we? So I think that's all we have from a questions point of view. But I can cite one personal this thing. Many years ago, I had the opportunity to visit your Gyanpur center about 2016 or so, 15, 16. And that was the first time that I saw. Uh, I think that unit was making bed covers and cushion covers and so on at that time. I could see the women actually making the embroidery and so on. And in another corner of the same place, the same pieces were ironed and being packed. And the packaging had letters that I could not read. When I went close by, I found out they were written in Swedish, which meant that they were being exported, not just manufactured there, but were being packed for export in the same place. And the packaging, the branding, the whole way in which everything was done was something that any Indian would have been proud to see this kind of export thing being done here. We are used to seeing this kind of quality when we see imported goods, but this is something that it shows the standard to which your team was working, and I think that was a very proud moment to see how that was being done. So thank you so much for sharing your journey as a both as a social entrepreneur and a social business, and how it has made a difference for everyone. Thank you so much, Smita ji.
Thank you, Chaitanya ji. I'm sorry I couldn't make it there personally today. Thank you.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much. With this, we'll move on to the next session for today. Before we get into the group discussion, there are two things that we do want to talk about. One is the, like I was saying, पिछले 2